As a kind of typology or hierarchy of laughter, Agee's passage has become canonical for many film scholars, though many have wondered if these terms, titter, yowl, belly laugh, and boffo, were ever actually used during slapstick, or whether he simply made them up, which I think is most likely. Yet these scholars usually fail to recognize that Agee characterizes the interaction between the slapstick comedian and the film audience through the image of a gag, specifically a ladder-based gag, in which the more viscerally one laughs, the closer they come to the point of danger, falling off the ladder because of the so-called boffo laugh, the laugh that kills them by sending them flying from the ladder's highest rung. In other words, the dynamics of slapstick on screen and that of the laughing spectator off are identical. Both are subject to the same stumbles and incrustations, linked to the same circuit in the manner as Cournot's perceptive gymnastics or Bergson's sympathy for the comic character. For Agee, the comedian is not mocked, but rather sadistically transforms the audience into victim, forcing the spectator to act like the wildly automated bodies on screen, whether they want to or not. The spectator moves from titter to yowl, bellyache to boffo, by following the comedian's own tumbling up and down ladders and buildings, machines, and mountains. A version of Bergson's fairy wand, the boffo undoes the separation between comedian and audience, as well as between audience and their own resistances to entering into the ordered chaos that defines slapstick. Like Deleuze and Guattari's schizophrenic laughter, the boffo provides a fitting term for the laughter that Bergson himself cannot name, but which he acknowledges as the absurd limit and playful condition of comedy. Now, I'd like to turn, in the kind of remaining time, from these kind of very abstract yet somewhat absurd realm of comic philosophy to a few cinematic examples to understand Bergson's boffo laugh and the machinic vitalism driving its eruption. And to do so, I'd like to focus precisely on the image that Agee has chosen, the image of a ladder. The ladder has an especially impressive history as a comic object, being used as a dynamic, unruly prop by Chaplin, Harold Lloyd, Laurel and Hardy, and many other figures described in Agee's essay. This makes good sense because it provides a simple emblem of slapstick's dialectic of difference and repetition. Each rung is precisely measured and proportional, yet with each step, the comic character faces the possibility of falling or stumbling, and does so with each step in an increasingly greater height. And when the ladder is being carried, it transforms into a lethal version of the plank, full of gaps in which to trap bodies so that it will inevitably smash into an unsuspecting passerby. Add hinges and the ladder might suddenly open and close to produce even more havoc, one of the most basic yet effective of what Tom Gunning calls slapstick's crazy machines. Indeed, the basic form of the ladder is echoed in later industrial technologies and sites ranging from the horizontality of the train track or the roller coaster to the vertical thrills of the skyscraper. Since comedy's greatest era, the ladder has had an extraordinary comic afterlife, used in everything from cartoons to televised wrestling matches to martial arts action films, perhaps most famously in this sequence from Jackie Chan's film, First Strike.
I forgot.
As this sequence demonstrates, the ladder is an ideal object and metaphor for what I've called Bergson's boffo laugh, converting all of the ladder's implicit threats of violence into creative action. Jackie Chan transforms the ladder simultaneously into weapon, shield, pivot for his own acrobatic motion, and cage to trap his opponents. Spinning, flipping, throwing, turning, Chan transforms the simple tool of the ladder, and in doing so transforms himself and his opponents into no less mechanical, yet no less energized marionettes. Mechanical incrustation becomes an ideal way of vitalizing the world rather than freezing it. In watching the scene, the spectator is no less animated, their eyes following the ladder's extraordinary motion, their bodies registering both Chan's deft ballet as well as each blow landed on himself or his enemies. The spectator is schizophrenically caught between pleasure and pain, comic surprise and acrobatic exertion, watching the events on screen through a gymnastic perception.